All right, my friends, it's time once again for another...
A cinquantesimo episode of V8 Radio, Kevin.
Cinquantesimo.
Yes, so good. And that word is Italian, believe it or not, meaning 50th.
50th. How about that? Well, this is our 50th show.
Yes, sir.
Holy criminy. Well,
holy smokes.
Congratulations to you, and we apologize to all our listeners.
We will be submitting a written apology shortly.
That's right. Wow, 50 shows, man. That's far out.
Yeah, that is far out. I mean, not with me, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it. But
well, yeah, there was a few in the beginning that were interviews that I had done, and a couple of other excerpts from V8 TV episodes. But you came on in what, the fourth one or something?
Sixth one.
Sixth.
44 episodes with me.
All right, happy Quattro
Happy 44
Contentio.
Quattro. Hey.
All right, well, that's dynamite. We'll have to do this again at your 50th.
Yeah, for sure. It's coming up, man.
Faster than you know it. Well, I'm your host, Kevin Ostie. Welcome to V8 Radio, and I'm joined, as always, by our esteemed co-host, Mr. Mike Huball Clark, as always, except for the first six, but we'll look past that. And on this show, we like to chat about automotive stuff, and sometimes we end up on tangents. This time, we're going to talk about cars. How about that?
Let's talk about cars today, Kev. What a novel approach to the show.
Yeah. I think we've strayed away from our core topic in the last couple episodes a little bit. Nobody said anything, to my knowledge, but we got a lot of stuff to cover today. So
yeah, but the topics we talked about were pretty cool topics, so I think it's okay.
It was kind of like an added bonus, if you will.
Exactly.
You came here for one thing, and you happen to get something cool instead.
Yeah. Normally they call that a bait and switch, so sorry about that.
Yeah, right. Well, one thing that we always try to do is start the show off with a trivia contest, a little question between the two of us. We throw out the question at the beginning of the show and then wrap it up at the end with an answer, and it's automotive related. So, Mr. Q, have you prepared a trivia question for today's episode?
Indeed, I have, Kevin, and let's fire it off. You no doubt remember seeing magazine ads for in hot rod magazines and the like for Hurst lightning rods.
Yes,
for your automatic transmission. Well, Kevin, what car could you buy that already came equipped with lightning rods?
That would be the Hurst. Is there a trick question here? Because I want to say it was the Hurst Oldsmobile from the 80s, but was it the 442 or the Hurst Olds?
I don't give trick questions, Kevin. Unlike you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say it was the Hurst Olds, and I'm going to say from probably 85, 6, and 7, maybe even earlier, 84, 5, 6, 7.
Hurst Olds. From the 80s.
From the 80s, the G-body.
Yeah.
And
the year is not a requirement for a correct answer. However, we could make that a bonus if you want to give me the first year that was available.
All right. Well, I'll say 83 is my guess.
83.
It seems a little early to me, but we'll see.
All right. So and Kevin says Hurst Olds, Cutlass, aka 442, 1983.
Well, the Hurst Olds and the 442 were different cars, and that's why I was wondering if it was a trick question or not.
Oh, so then what's your guess? Is it Hurst Olds or is it 442?
I'm going to say it's the Hurst Olds.
Okay. Hurst Olds, 442. Shut up, Michael. Hurst Olds, 1983.
All right, somewhere around there.
Something like that.
Yes, and that brings up another fun, interesting trivia bonus question. This is not a real one, but around that time period, a little bit later, actually, towards the late 80s, Hurst advertised an aftermarket shifter that you could never buy.
Really?
Yeah. And it was called the Hurst H-Gate. And it was it was an automatic shifter that shifted in a 4-speed pattern.
Get out of here.
Yeah. It was really, really cool. but alas, it actually was never produced, even though they ran ads featuring it in magazines.
Wow. I wonder
Yeah.
how they would have done that. Would have been some pretty convoluted linkage, I think.
It was, and that's probably why it never came to be, because they thought
Yeah,
this is probably
probably.
a bad idea. But it gave manual or automatic transmission guys the opportunity to go from a first to second to drive or whatnot, and row that shifter around like it was a 4-speed. So I remember going to B&M, I think, and asking them about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's a double layer trivia question. Was it a B&M
Holy
H-gate
cow.
or was it a Hearst H-gate? I think it was a Hearst. Anyway. All right, so that's my guess on yours, is a Hearst Olds.
Okay. Got it.
So my question to you, my friend, is what was Antoine de la Motte Cadillac known for?
Okay, everybody, let's gather up. We're going to Ostie's house with the torches and pitchforks, and we're going to burn that mother down.
All right. Let me help you out. I will give you this in the more traditional American English pronunciation.
Hey, how about that?
Yes. What was Antoine de la Motte Cadillac known for?
The namesake for
Antoine Cadillac.
Antoine Cadillac. What was he known for?
Yes.
Is this a trick question?
I don't do trick questions, my friend.
Oh, you dirty liar. You dirty liar. Well, he's the namesake for the Cadillac nameplate that graces your GM automobiles, thus named Cadillac.
Mark of excellence.
Mark of excellence.
Is that going to be your answer?
Ah, damn it, Kevin. It has to be. Because I got nothing else. Jeez Louise. Oh, why do I keep coming back? Like 44 episodes of this. Yes. Ah, damn it, yes.
All right, so
Antoine Cadillac.
your guess is that he was the namesake for the Cadillac automobile.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Okay.
I apologize, everybody. I'm really bad at this.
Well, no, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Mike's answer, I'm typing this down here so I don't forget it. Okay. All right, well, that's good. That will work for me.
Good is not the adjective I was searching for,
Well,
but okay.
our listeners are happy that there was no additional bonus trivia question and sub-trivia question.
Yeah, because I don't know a damn thing about that.
All right, we will reveal the riveting answer to these deep questions at the end of our show today.
Deep Thoughts by Kevin Ostie.
Yeah, right.
Oh, my goodness gracious, man. I'll tell you what.
Well, the good thing is that's over with. And the second good thing is that spring has sprung. Today's actually the first day of spring,
Oh, yeah.
which means the cars are coming out finally. Thank you.
Yes.
Especially in our neck of the woods, the long winter, I'm hoping, is finally over. Mm-hmm. And got a little crazy the other day and actually looked around the shop and our crew, I got to hand it to them. These guys are doing a phenomenal job of keeping the place clean and organized, and people have been coming in, taking tours and whatnot, saying, man, did you guys just clean up, for today? And it's like, no. I mean, everybody's doing a really good job, which means with the beginning of spring and the warmer weather and the clean shop, we thought, hey, why don't we have a little impromptu spring cars and coffee type thing. So that's going to happen Saturday, next couple days, at the V8 Speed
As
Resto
you're
Shop.
listening to this, people, there's probably the Cars and Coffee going on right now.
Yeah, there you go. Right. And I'm bringing this up not to, pre-promote it, because you're right, the timing isn't going to be off. But I'm just so excited that we can finally open the doors in the shop, and it's going to be warm enough to where people will be able to hang out. And this was also, as I like to say, a crisis of opportunity, because we ended up having not only the cars that we are working on in progress at the shop, but a couple of neat ones came back to visit. So the reloaded Camaro is back in the shop.
Right. That's a nice car.
Yeah, it is. And that one's been done for 7 years now. And it looks like the day we finished it. I mean, it still looks dynamite, and it came back for some maintenance. And we fixed a sensor that went bad on the fuel injection system, believe it or not. So
is that right?
Throttle position sensor went bad and was putting it in the flood mode. So
wow.
10-minute fix, So that's done, and the LT4 Camaro is back.
Really?
Yes, and that's the one you and I had talked about at great length in the past. And there's 3 episodes of V8TV episodes out there about our LT4 swap, and we left it where it had this throttle issue where you'd get off the throttle at higher RPM and it would continue to climb as if you were still on the throttle. Well, we never got a satisfactory resolution to that challenge, and the customer has had the car for a little while. He's put 2,200 miles on it.
Right on.
Dynamite, yes.
Dynamite, yeah.
Yeah, and what we've learned is we think really the answer to fix this is going to be an ECM swap to a more, more recent version, an updated version of the General Motors engine controller.
Okay.
But that also requires a harness change because the plug is different now. So we got to take it apart and fix that. But it's all good because we're very confident that that's going to be the fix. And in those 2,000 plus miles of sheer craziness and enjoyment, we've got a few other maintenance things to take care of. Namely, rear tires are gone.
Oh, no. Well, good. I'm glad that's one of the things.
Yeah, so that's great. And then we developed a leak and a little leak in the power steering system. We think we have a mismatch in the power steering pump, so we're going to switch that out. And, refinements. But to have both of those cars sitting next to each other is pretty special. So I thought it'd be a great time to invite the general public in to come check them out. In addition to seeing, Kelly finally has it was only a month, but has our new body shop side up and running at full capacity.
Is that right? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
that is so great.
The capabilities have been expanded quite a bit, and the quality level is increased, and we are noticing improvements in efficiencies like right away, as far as having to move cars around and ease of getting in and out of the paint booth, and the mechanics. Each guy now has essentially two stalls to work in at the same time, so nobody's fighting for space, and things are really going well under the roof of the shop building. So that's cool.
Oh, that is amazing. Is the new shop going to be open up to during the spring open house?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
you have to take lots of good pics and video for me because unfortunately I can't make it down.
Yeah, it's okay. We like I said, we announced this like 2 days ago, just on a whim, and luckily some of our guys are actually even going to be there. Because I was like, hey, look, we have an opportunity, and I didn't really ask anybody. So I apologize for that, but we'll have our team members there, and we put it out on Facebook. And earlier tonight, we got a little bit of a late start, you and I recording this show, because I was out. A friend of ours owns a brewery here in the town where I live in, and he has an event once a month called Bonding at the Brewery for businesses.
Nice.
So a lot of local businesses come together and talk about stuff, and we go to those to try and learn things and maybe have a beer or two. But it was interesting 3 of the local businesses were excited about coming out to our thing on Saturday. So,
Oh, fantastic.
yeah.
Oh, that's great, man.
Yeah, so we've got a local bakery that's brewing up a bunch of donuts, and we got our big coffee cauldron, set up. So we'll have that going. So it's going to be supposed to be high 60s and sunny. Should be a nice day.
Oh, you cannot ask for a better day than that.
No, and spring has been eluding us so long that I'm ready.
How about it, man? I mean, we had snow here last weekend, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm sorry.
Right on St. Patrick's Day. Oh, it was brutal. I woke up, I thought it was a sick joke.
Yeah, well, it looked like
Man.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It did.
We've at least had sunshine, and I don't know if you saw the video we put out last week of the customer spotlight video on the 66 Charger.
I did see that with the Fredzog.
Yes, with the Fratzog at the end. Had to put that in. Come on.
Yes, you did. I
What'd you think?
appreciate that.
What'd you think of that little video?
Oh, that car is off the hook. That thing is beautiful.
It's a beautiful car. It's
My goodness, that color, mwah.
Yeah,
I
stunning
love
car.
the look of that 66 Charger too. That sloping fastback.
Yeah,
It looks
yeah.
like there's nothing. It almost looks like a house inside the interior. It's so big. It's just so open. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's very, very spacey. It's cool. Mm-hmm. Well, that was
the instrument cluster is gorgeous. It's really nice.
that was kind of a new thing for us. I mean, obviously, the cars that we feature on V8 TV when we're building them are all customer-owned cars. But on social media in the past, we've shared still pictures, like
Right.
here's something we might have done a tune-up on, or, sometimes smaller projects or whatnot. But this is the first time we actually did a video on a customer's car that was already finished, and just kind of a customer spotlight video, just kind of share this cool car. Why not? We have it, might as well share it.
Why not?
And
I think that's a good idea. You should do more of that.
okay, good. Yeah. Because
Yeah, you have my permission. You have the blessing from the queue.
well, that's really what I was going for here.
Yeah, I know, and I didn't want to make you grovel for it, so I'm laying it right out there.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
You got it, bro.
Well, sometimes we do stuff, and you don't know how people are going to take it. And it wasn't a very in-depth feature, and unfortunately, we didn't have a whole lot of time to go out and actually drive the car around. And it was different from Muscle Car of the Week because the Brothers Collection guys are the ones that are proponents of doing giant burnouts and stuff. And in our case, the shop cars for the customers, I'm not going to do that, unless they mandate it. Mm-hmm. But this customer, his name is Brian, and he didn't know that video was coming. So we shot it and aired it, and then he saw it a couple days later, and he really dug it. So that was cool.
Well, sure. Who wouldn't dig that?
Yeah.
Whoever doesn't dig something like that shouldn't be into cars. That's what I think.
Well, I mean, that's part of the reason why you have these silly things is to show them off and share them. So
Yeah, for sure. And the more time goes by, the more special these cars will become. So it's great that it's the part of that. At least that one is affixed there permanently out there and can always be seen and accessed. So
yeah, right, exactly.
Good on you.
Well, we shot another one today, as a matter of fact. As a while ago, we shared a picture of a darker blue 66 GTO that was in the shop getting some work, and that car's finished up and going home tomorrow. So
nice.
We did another similar spotlight video today on that one. It's going to probably be a little bit shorter, but still an equally as cool car. Not an original car, so the tri-power is from a different setup, but it's date correct, so it looks right, and everything on it looks the way it's supposed to. So
Sure.
But similar story, we put a comp roller cam in that one too, and fixed a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So you can look for that. I know, have you ever seen one of those GTO cars before? You know what those are?
I saw one in a magazine a long time ago. I think that I've seen a hell of a lot more of them than I've driven one lately.
Well, it's coming though.
Pete's sake. Yeah, it's coming. Come on, baby.
So, a lot of in addition to the big long-term restoration and modified car projects we do shorter jobs of modifications and performance upgrades and all kinds of stuff. And it kind of led me to think of, what would be a cool topic for springtime is to look at, maybe the top 5 things that you would do to a car if you could, modifications to make them a little bit more enjoyable. So I've prepared a list.
I happen to have a list of that. What serendipity is this?
It is serendipity. It is a synergy as well.
Yeah, man.
How about that?
Crazy.
Almost like we planned it.
What?
People are going to start complaining that we're actually prepping these shows out.
The show is just too refined. I can't take it anymore. That's it. It's just too good.
All right. Well, the only part of the show that was planned was that, and we planned it for 3 episodes ago and never got to it because we're too busy on a space tangent.
Too busy on the tangents.
So we resurrected this topic from the dustbin, and here we are today. Right on.
Oh man, I have a feeling our top 5 are going to be pretty similar.
Oh, you think so? Well, just to prevent that from happening, I came up with 6.
So did I.
Get the heck out of here.
I did.
Did you really?
Yep.
You deviated from the plan.
I did. I'm a deviant. Oh, man.
All right.
So
Well,
how do we want to start this?
I'll throw you one better. My top 6 are in reverse order. So number 1 is not number 1.
Oh, okay. All right, Topper, you got me.
All right. So what would be your first mod that you think is something cool to do?
Headers and a open exhaust, free flowing exhaust.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Not on my list.
Shut up.
Really? Yeah. And I don't know if I take that for granted. I'm very used to cars already having headers and good exhaust. Mm-hmm. But you're right. It's a huge thing, get that system to breathe a little bit freer and, a definite huge improvement. We do a lot of, MagnaFlow kits and on the LS side, those Hooker cast headers are really cool because they fit nice and tight and they flow really well. So,
yeah, I took this list from the point of view of getting a brand new car off the showroom floor and starting my day 2 mods to it.
Right on.
That's what I had in mind.
Okay. I didn't have anything in mind. I just came up with some stuff. So.
Okay. All right.
All right. So then you have the exhaust. Mine would be a hydraulically assisted brake booster.
Ooh. Yeah. That's a good one. That is not on my list.
Aha. See? What are you doing over there? We use the Hydrotech brand Hydro Boost style brakes, and I love them. I'm an evangelist for them. I put them on my own car. Our 62 Galaxy has had a set for, I think, 12 years now. Wow. Trouble free, tons of clamp force. Yeah, it's great. Love them.
Well, that's cool, man. All right. That's always intrigued me, that Hydro Boost. Of how well it works. I'd love to drive a car that has it to be able to experience that.
Well, you could drive this Galaxy on Saturday, but you're not going to be here.
Yeah, god dang it. Yeah. All right. Next on my list, and this is kind of a catch-all, but it all has to do with induction, but like multiple carb setup. If you only had a single 4-barrel or forced induction or even fuel injection.
Aha. That is kind of a catch-all because those are a bunch of various subtopics all rolled into one.
Right. Exactly. So we'll call it induction.
Right on. Induction, I guess increased induction.
Yes.
Well, that would be my number 2, I guess, in the order that I have mine, and a very similar catch-all
Yeah.
that I am calling more power.
More.
And my characteristics were supercharger, turbo, cam and heads, or whatnot.
God, I didn't have heads on mine.
Yeah.
I suck.
Well, no, you had other stuff though, so that's all good. But definitely more power, but make sure you do it with the brakes, so that you can safely enjoy the car. It's funny again. What we used to have to do to plan out building more power into a car, it used to be and it still is to a certain degree, but the whole formula, we got to do compression ratio, got to figure out the cam profile. It's what you're doing right now. And a lot of times today, we do a lot with that LS platform, and you don't really have to think that much. They make decent power to start with. You throw a cam and a set of valve springs, and you've made a huge improvement right away. So I think some of that calculating and recipe concoction is going away, and I kind of miss that. It was fun to overanalyze every aspect of the engine and hope the people that you talk to and the numbers that you came up with are right. Yeah. And the funny thing there is that you could put that whole thing together and not know if you're wrong, because it's going to make what it's going to make.
Right.
And you don't know, you're not going to, tear it down next weekend and throw a different cam in it and try it.
Right.
Nobody
you don't
does
know what you're leaving on the table.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
But we recently sent home a 70 Camaro SS car with a 396 red car. Beautiful, automatic. Pretty nice restoration on it. We did some fixes here and there, and it came in and it was a dog. It didn't have any go, and we ended up retiming it and tuning it and curving the distributor. And when it left, it had the torque of a 396, and it was eager and happy to go instead of dragging. And it made such a huge difference, even though we really didn't change parts on it that much. We didn't put a cam in it. And just
tuned it up nice.
Yeah, it made what it had work, and the customer was so happy that he didn't have to invest in a whole nother engine or anything like that. It was all there, just hiding under the hood somewhere, and our guy Mike found it all, so that was cool.
Well, he's going to drive that for a month and then say, "God damn, I need more power." So I need.
That happens.
Can you LS this thing for me?
Yeah, that one I hope not. It's a pretty original looking car, but I'm sure we could slip a sneaky Pete nitrous kit under the carburetor or something.
Yeah. I'm sure you can figure something out.
yeah, wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, the next thing on my list, and it kind of goes. I don't know if it should go with induction. Well, yes and no, but I picked a roller cam, to put in there. I mean, it works on induction as well as exhaust, but it's still part of the breathing of the engine. So.
Well, and it's also a huge part of the longevity of these things now. And I think we've talked about this before too. We're finding more and more flat tappet cams are just waiting, they're time bombs waiting to go off. And
oh boy,
people are storing cars for a long time, and then they bring them out, and if we're going to revive one, the oil is different today, everything's different today, and it might run, even on an original engine, it might run for 1,000 miles and the cam goes flat. And everybody wonders, feeling. Yeah, it happened to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody wonders what the heck happened. And today, when we have a car that comes into the shop that has evidence of a cam going flat, which is maybe a weird backfire through the carburetor or a lack of power, or it's missing, and we do a compression and a leak down test and try to identify it, we recommend a roller cam right away, first thing. And it's a bigger nut to swallow in the beginning because a roller cam, as you know, is a little more pricey.
A little bit. But the peace of mind is priceless.
That's it, yeah. Because we've done several of them where we've had to do the cam twice because the new flat tappet cam also ate a lobe or wore in improperly. Yeah, it's a mess. And we've developed some procedures now to make sure that the push rods are. So what we do is we paint a white stripe on the push rods. And then as we prime this thing and we start it, we make sure visually that all those push rods are spinning, which means hopefully the lifter's spinning. With a roller cam, put it together, turn the key, you're done. There's no worries, there's no ifs, and or buts. It's going to work. Plus, of course, you can get a more aggressive ramp rate and a different cam profile to make more power, more vacuum, or whatever you want. So,
yeah, I mean, it requires a different setup. I mean, it's going to require a higher spring rate. You're going to have to maybe cut some pockets in your heads for the springs to fit if they have to be taller springs based on your valve length. I mean, you don't just get to, you don't just get to throw a roller cam in there and throw everything else together. I mean, everything has to match nicely with it.
Right, and the later blocks are provisioned for that already, which is good. In your Pontiac case, it's a complete retrofit. So, it's taking something that wasn't even an option back then and putting one in. Right. So it's a little more extra parts. But totally.
At this point, I don't just need a cam. I need a complete valve train. I mean, from cam, lifters, push rods, rocker arms, springs, valves.
Yeah.
So the whole shebang.
But totally worth it.
Totally worth it? Yeah, no, not complaining. It will rise again. Oh yes, it will rise again.
That might make the list, somebody's top 5 list of an upgrade right there. It's a good one.
How about that?
Yeah. So my number 3 would be, and maybe my criteria here is for cars that you're going to drive, and I think yours is probably the same way. We're not talking about concourse correct restoration things. We're talking about things to do to the car to make it more enjoyable to get out and burn up some road. So I'm going to say better handling suspension is my number 3.
Very nice. I like it. That was not on my list.
Wow, right on. How about
not a better handling suspension, but it should have been on my list because I really dig a muscle car that's kind of hunkered down a bit. It's got a good low center of gravity, has good handling suspension, good geometry that really hugs the road. That's a real turn on.
Well, it is, and it's interesting. We're coming up with a top 12 between the two of us.
Yeah, how about that?
What I tell people,
more than you bargained for today, folks.
Yeah, and the great thing about that suspension deal is that there are so many parts available now for just about everything when it comes to cars.
Well, whole complete chassis are available.
Oh yeah, right. Cars. I mean, you could start there and work your way down. We might have mentioned this last time, but we're talking with a potential customer about doing a 59 Impala on a Roadster Shop chassis, which with an independent rear of all things and all kinds of crazy stuff. So you have that on one end, but I think some people get a little bit. I don't know what the best way to say it is, because like if you see the media and the magazines and TV shows and stuff, a lot of times they make it sound like the original suspension was like downright scary and dangerous to drive. And so you have to have sway bars and coilovers and tubular arms and and the reality is the original stuff really wasn't that bad. But what the problem is that it's so worn out most of the time that all the bushings are shot, so the alignment's off, and there's play everywhere, and the steering box is worn out. So that's dangerous.
That is dangerous.
Yeah. And if you're going to do it, you're going to do it, so you're going to buy better stuff. And that can add up. It can get kind of pricey. But do you really need a tubular control arm that alters, the caster and the camber gain and all that stuff? If it's something you're going to cruise on weekends to, to the hot dog stand. So if you're on a budget, a thing that we've done many times, which is a pretty cool upgrade, is to use the the Delrin bushings from Global West, for example, in the stock control arm. So instead of spending, all the money for the tubular arms, the really, super bad ones, part of the failure point of the suspension is that it binds or it's sloppy going up and down, and then the alignment changes and the geometry changes. And if that stuff changes, it introduces some unpredictable characteristics and the car doesn't handle well. But you can keep your original control arms, which, true, they do have kind of an outdated design, because back in the 60s, what people wanted was easy steering. They wanted to easily parallel park their car. That was a selling point. So what did we get? We got over-assisted power assist steering.
Right.
And we got spindles that stand straight up and down. So it's like a zero caster. And that means the wheels pivot real nice on their axis.
Sure.
But when you go down the road at high speed, you're correcting, trying to keep it straight. Yeah. As opposed to modern suspension design, which leans that spindle back towards the windshield at, in some cases, 10 and 12 degrees. So it's more like a chopper where you can let go of the wheel and the car goes straight for hours. Right. Okay. So your modern control arms from Detroit Speed or Global West or UMI or whoever, a lot of them build in some caster to lean that spindle back. So you have that comfortable, high-speed, straight driving experience as opposed to constantly correcting. But if that's not in the budget and you can deal with the stock suspension design, you press in those Delrin bushings and all the slop is gone and they're able to articulate real smoothly. And there's a trick. You can either work with your alignment shop to have them set as much caster as they can into the system, which might pick you up 2 or 3 or 4 degrees, which kind of gets you there. Okay. Or the other thing is called the Goldstrand modification. And there was a racer named Dick Goldstrand. He was a suspension designer par excellence. And what he would do is take the upper control arm bolts where they mounted to the frame and re-drill the holes and just pivot that upper control arm backwards. And it costs nothing. It costs nothing.
Wow. I did not know this.
Yeah, that's a good one. So for the F-body cars, the GM Camaro Firebird, you can go online and download the template on how to re-drill that. Way. Yeah. And if you've got an A-body like a GTO or like your car, I'm pretty sure that those have been extrapolated and you can find them online to where you can safely re-drill that without compromising the strength of the mounting point. And then the Ford guys, that was done by Carroll Shelby. So the Shelby GT350 Mustangs from the 60s, that was one of the first things they did, was relocate those upper control arm points. And that's been known in the Ford side for many, many years. And the Mopar guys, you can kind of do the same thing too if you put some time into it. So there's the
interesting, man. Interesting. Getting back to your point about the suspension not being dangerous from the get-go, but becoming so when it's when all the bushings wear out. Exactly what was going on with this GTO. The first time I ever drove it, when my dad picked it up and we got together and I drove it, when you would put the brakes on, the whole car would move to the left without any steering input, because the control arm bushings were so worn. I mean, it was just boop, everything was just tweaking to the left. And then when that happened, my old man's like, "What are you doing? You're dangerous." I'm like, "Yo, I'm not doing this, man. This is your car. This is your car that's dangerous."
This is just happening.
Since then, when I got my hands on this car, I did rebuild the whole suspension, and I kind of did put the tubular upper and lower control arms on, and new springs and shocks and ball joints, upper and lower ball joints and everything, and that made an amazing difference in that car. Oh yeah, that felt so planted. I had that car at like 120 once, and once. It felt so planted on the road. I mean, like nothing could move it. It was beautiful. Unreal.
Yeah.
It wasn't floating or anything.
And, the other
times.
key to that recipe is a good shock absorber. They make all the difference. And I forget, what did you put on yours? Did you put KYBs on yours, or what did you put on yours?
Yes. Yeah, KYBs. Yeah.
Yeah, those are nice. And they're nice because they're also not insanely expensive.
Exactly.
But they'll get
good
you,
compromise.
Right. The next step up would be a Bilstein. And I'll tell you what, if you have a car, I don't care what the model is, and you put good bushings in it and a bigger front sway bar and a matching rear bar and some Bilstein shocks, you are going to have a wonderful ride. Just like you're saying, nice and taut and supple and in control and predictable. So.
Oh yeah, very in control, very predictable.
And what's really cool is I have none of that on my 70 Riviera. So.
Is that right?
I've got original bushings and they're all shot.
But you get to drive your Riviera.
Well, I do.
So.
And that dynamic lane change feature that you were talking about is still, active. Keeps you on your toes a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
At some point, I will go through and do these same exact upgrades on that car, but right now I haven't gotten to it yet. But
gotcha.
So, better suspension. That's my number 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This will be my number 4. This is more of a cosmetic mod and not so much of a performance mod, but different wheels and tires. Bigger tires in the back, skinnier tires up front. Different wheels other than stock, maybe an alloy wheel, just kind of like they did back in the day. So for like a what did your old man call it? A sewer sniffer.
The sewer sniffer, right? Yeah. The drop nose and the raked look with the big stuff in the back. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are building a 70s street machine in your list here. Totally.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Those affected me. That's what I looked at when I was, growing up, looking at like Carcraft and popular hot rodding and hot rod. You'd see a lot of that, and even on the road, you'd see that. You'd see some really, like a Roadrunner that was all jacked up in the back with big wheels and tires and skinny fronts. And man, I thought that was cool, just rumbling down the road. That really spoke to me. So
they look cool. You just negated our better handling suspensions. So
I completely did. Yeah, I blew it out of the water. Absolutely. Like I said, your list is not my list.
Yeah, right. This is true. Yeah, well, I will go along with that. Wheels and tires and the stance and the right size and offset definitely make a car, especially when you have made those improvements and they need to be functional and they need to be strong enough to handle, side loads or whatever you're going to put on them if you're going to go autocross it or even beat it up on the highway on and off ramps. I look back at some of the stupid stuff we did when I was younger. So I grew up in the Chicago area, and right at where the Kennedy Expressway meets O'Hare Airport and the 294 tollway basically is a cloverleaf, and the cloverleaf interchange has 4 loops, and 2 of them get they have decreasing radius turns. So as you go through it gets tighter. And that was our proving ground. We used to go race the cloverleaf. Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, it was dumb. Don't get me wrong, and I don't recommend it. But we had a lot of fun, man. And
I bet, yeah.
My buddy Ken was a weekend amateur road racer, and he had some great cars. He had a Datsun 510 that he used to race up at Road America.
No kidding.
He had a gutted, if I'm not mistaken, a mid-'80s Trans Am that was a full-on race car. But he came home one day. Well, the amazing one is I think he had a 68 Catalina or a Bonneville, 2-door.
Wow.
That
Jeez.
Pontiac powered. He had BFG tires on it. He had great sway bars, great shocks, good springs. And that thing handled like you wouldn't believe. And it was this giant boat, but it was just set up right, But the most fun he had was, as far as a car that I experienced, was a 1LE showroom stock racer Camaro. So I think this was about a 94 94 or 95. And the 1LE package was basically a stripped out Camaro with a 6-speed and oversized disc brakes all the way around, better sway bars and springs and struts and the whole thing. And it was designed for a class of SCCA racing called showroom stock, where you couldn't change that stuff. So Chevrolet built a Camaro that was already set up for it.
Oh, nice.
They're awesome. If you jump on eBay, you'll find them for sale out there because they're cool. And in fact, I think the 1LE package is back now. I think you can go buy a brand new Camaro that has that showroom stock type setup on it. But that car handled so well in that cloverleaf that I think the posted speed limits were like 25 and 35, and Ken was ripping through it at like 75 and 80.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
Kenny.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. Yeah. And that was
like a ton of fun, man.
Again, early 90s. I think it was still on 16-inch wheels too. I don't think it was even in 17s yet. But the right setup really rocked. So when we were talking about your deal with adding wheels and tires, that tangent started because of how they can have a negative effect on handling, or it could be a positive.
Or a positive effect. Yeah, totally. All depends on either if you're going for look or you're going for real performance.
Right.
So, and I think back in the day, in the 70s, you didn't have any good handling cars, especially coming out of Detroit. Anything that was really readily available. So what the most prevalent thing out there was drag racing. So I think these guys really wanted to get their cars have that drag racer look with the jacked up rear end and the wide tires and the skinny fronts and almost starting that Pro Street kind of a look.
Well, yeah, and interestingly, I think drag racing was just so much easier to do, because you could do it out in front of your house,
Right.
if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Whereas road racing, you had to go to a track. And one of my favorite eras, of course, is Trans Am racing from the late 60s. And those cars were set up to handle, the Boss 302 and the AAR CUDA and the Camaro Z28. But you really couldn't use them as much. And I think that's why drag racing was more popular. But even through the 70s, man, those Camaro Z28s and Firebird Trans Ams, they handled really, really well. But most everything else did not.
Yeah, true. I had a 77 Formula, and it was a pretty decent handling car for the day. There's a curve in Cleveland where I grew up called Dead Man's Curve. And
Of course.
they
wrote a song about that.
Yes, they did.
It was called
Jan and Dean.
Cleveland Rocks.
Yeah, they did. But the speed limit on Dead Man's Curve was, I think, 35 miles an hour. And for a normal car, that's what you had to do. And when when I worked in Cleveland and I had my Firebird, I would take Dead Man's Curve at 55, 60, scaring the jeepers out of myself, because it's almost like trying to turn that tight on a neighborhood street, trying to take a left somewhere, going 55, 60. I mean, you're putting your life in your hands when you're doing that.
Well, it's Dead Man's Curve. They
interesting.
call it that for a reason.
They do. It's the dumbest design of an expressway ever, I'll tell you what.
There you go.
But
all right, so you got wheels and tires. My number 4 is an overdrive transmission with a corresponding rear gear.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was part of my list as well. That's one thing that makes a car so much more drivable, especially if it has a radical cam in it. If you want to get any kind of speed out of it, any sustained speed without beating your engine up, definitely an overdrive with the appropriate gear is going to do it for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we did the math once, and I think our points of reference were from St. Louis to Chicago. By putting an overdrive gear transmission in a car and bringing the final drive ratio from 1-to-1 down to 0.75 to 1, say, for example, you're saving 25% of the RPMs that your crank and your bearings and your pistons are experiencing, and it turned out to be like 800,000 revolutions to go from St. Louis
Really?
to Chicago. Yeah. So take your crankshaft, your engine's still kind of being assembled, and spin it once. Imagine in a one afternoon drive, you saved 800,000 spins.
My goodness.
Well, and that's why
That's
these
amazing.
cars, it is. And when the overdrives came out in the 80s, I mean, you could get, my 62 Ford had an optional overdrive back in the day when it was new. So Fords of the 50s and 60s had them, and so did some other cars. But they really started to hit in the 80s, and you'd see these four-cylinder cars that were trying to, wring out all the gas mileage they could. But these were when cars first started going 100,000, 150,000 miles without wearing out, without needing an overhaul. And a big part of it is because we slowed that crankshaft down by running the overdrive gear. So
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
yeah, and we did it's a Ford 4R70W electronic overdrive in the Galaxy in our 62, and it made it an entirely different car. It is so much nicer to drive down the highway.
Really.
So I recommend that to anybody. And today, in fact, Holly just came out with the other day a controller now. It's a single unit that now controls like an LS engine and the all the variant electronic overdrive transmissions in one box, because that's part of the problem is the modern
Is that
overdrives
right?
are electronic. Yeah, and you need to have a standalone controller. So
Right.
the technology's catching up to where these things are now controllable and they have been before, but now integrated with the engine management as well. So it makes it a little bit easier and cheaper to do. But to kind of circle back a little bit, last time I had mentioned that we were talking about that 47 Dodge pickup truck project with the customer that wanted us to do the Mercedes-Benz diesel engine, and I had mentioned that might not happen. Well, we finally were able to present the project timeline and parts and everything, and customer thought it was really cool, but he thought it was a little bit more than he wanted to invest. So it turns out we're going to end up putting a gas engine in that 47 instead of the diesel.
Really?
Well, yeah, he really liked the Benz diesel because it was quiet, and we thought, a lesser expensive would maybe be a Cummins diesel, but he doesn't want to hear those injectors clattering and all the diesel noise that goes along with that.
I see.
So he said, well, how about a gas motor? And we said, sure, we can certainly find a fuel-injected gasoline engine with an overdrive transmission.
You can do that all day.
Right. And, a minute ago I was talking about the electronically controlled overdrives, but one that's often overlooked on the Mopar side is called an A518, and it's basically very similar to a GM 700R4, where it's a mechanical overdrive.
Right.
And so we're not limited to putting a Dodge engine back in this thing, but I think it might need it. So maybe it's going to be a Jeep 4-liter. Six
okay,
owner.
that's cool.
Yeah, so that's got some connections, but anyway, that'll also get an overdrive in an old pickup truck. So, and those things really benefit because a lot of times they've got 456 gears or some kind of farm granny gear in them.
Mm-hmm.
But by doing the overdrive, you can fix all that. So that's why I chose that.
Very cool. All right. That's a good pick. All right, my fifth choice would be a transmission swap, either from auto to manual or manual to auto, depending on what it is you're looking for. I would say like auto to manual for cool factor, and manual to auto is if you're a racer and you want to win races.
Yeah, right. Consistency, totally.
Yep.
Well, that's a good one, and I agree with that too. And I've been on the fence. We just talked about the overdrives. I think my Galaxy would be wonderful with a 5-speed manual in it.
It would be cool. There would be some serious cool factor with a 5-speed in that car.
They obviously could have come with a 4-speed, and we would make it look the same. But I'm with you. We're doing 70 GTO from a automatic to a manual right now. And we do that stuff all the time. And sometimes if you plan it right, you can find original or OE parts at least to be able to put something together without having to make stuff. And they're good projects. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. Yeah, I dig that. I remember that gold 70, correct?
Yeah, Mo's car.
GTO. Yeah, that's cool. I'm still driving that car, Mo.
I'll go on a limb and say he's still cool with that. So,
all right, good.
When not to do the tangent again, but when you finally meet Mo and you get to drive his GTO, you have to ask him about the fact that he was a licensed half-track driver. And there's a great story about his Vietnam days.
All right.
Yeah.
That will come out.
Yes. He was in the Army in Vietnam and had some great experiences that he likes to share. So it's always fun to talk to Mo.
All right, cool.
All right, so my number 5 is electronic fuel injection.
That is a great upgrade.
Which, of course, we heard in your number 2, I guess. But
that just had to do with induction. But I mean, the drivability that fuel injection allows for, it can stand on its own.
Yep. And one of the neat ones, and I think we might have touched on this car before too, is that 76 Pontiac Trans Am LE car that came in the shop with a factory 455 and a 4-speed. And he wanted to go to fuel injection, but the challenge on that car is that it's a factory shaker scoop. And if you put a Holley patterned fuel injection system on it, you have to put a spacer, which throws off the whole works with the scoop and the hole in the hood. So now the Holley Sniper Quadrajet product goes right on the original Pontiac intake manifold without any spacer, so it fits right into place. And that's a huge thing. Yeah, it was almost made for that car because that car has this delicate relationship between that scoop and the hood and everything. So EFI is my number 5.
All right, dig it. I'm all about that. My number 6 was had to do with a manual transmission, but a short throw shifter a true short throw shifter, not just one that's cut down, but something that actually works the geometry to give a shorter throw for quicker shifts.
Those are nice. That was like mod number 1 on a Fox Mustang.
Is that right?
Yeah, you buy a Fox body Mustang from the 80s and 90s, you rip that shifter out and throw a shorty in like day 1. That and a clutch pedal shift quadrant, because those had a cable clutch. And when you'd step on the clutch pedal, the cable would stretch. So they make these adjustable quadrants that automatically take up the slack and self-adjust every time you step on. You'd actually pick the clutch pedal up with your foot and then step on it again, and this ratcheting pawl mechanism would tighten up the slack on the cable, and then that with the shorter shifter. Yeah, and then of course a center force clutch would be next, and those cars are made to modify. They just
down
the line.
Yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, well my number 6 is a tilt steering wheel and reclining comfy seats.
That's good living.
Yeah, it sure is. I'm halfway there on my own projects. I did a tilt column in the Galaxy last year, and never looking back.
Is that right?
I got to get a reclining seat in that thing though, because the park bench, even though it's a bucket, it looks cool, but it's not back friendly for long road trips.
Yeah, you know what? It's amazing on how you get spoiled with modern cars when something even from probably the 80s till now pretty much came standard with reclining seats as well as tilt steering. And when you get behind the wheel of a vintage automobile and it doesn't have that, you're like, what the hell is this? That along with power windows. I remember driving this GTO. I'm like, man, I need this passenger window open. And I got to do it. I got to lean over and crank the son of a bitch. I don't
you
want
got to pull over and you got to park that thing.
Yeah,
and stretch.
If I want the back windows open, I got to stop. Like this will not stand anymore. I can't have this, people.
Yeah, my Riv is well, the Galaxy 2. They're both they're both crank windows. And
really?
Yeah, I think I have the only Riviera ever made with crank windows.
I think you do.
It's got nothing for options on it, but it does have a tilt.
It doesn't have air either, does it?
No AC, but it does have tilt wheel from the factory, so that's huge. But it's a bench seat, and it's well worn, so around town it's wonderful. But I've driven that one up to Chicago and on some other road trips, and about hour 2.5, you start wondering what the heck am I doing with this thing, because my can hurts.
Nice.
All right. Well, that was a good list. I think we'll put those items in the description this time for the program. Anybody wants
All right, cool.
suggestions of good things to do to upgrade those cars, we'll make that available.
Where you can see where industry insiders can see these a lot of cool cars with mods is at the SEMA show, where Kevin Ostie will be Mr. SEMA again this year.
Yeah, how about that?
Touting all of the SEMA goodness again.
Nice.
So congratulations.
Nice way to work that in. Yeah, thank you very much.
You bet.
I'm very fortunate that SEMA has again asked for my assistance with some hosting duties and some other shenanigans. So once again, I'll be hosting the Monday night SEMA reveal live, which is great fun. And yes, they want me in a tuxedo again.
Oh boy!
The minute I buy one, they're going to say we're done with you. So I'm renting again.
Come on, Mr. Big Time. You don't rent, you buy. Let's go.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you what, the rental experience is wonderful because it's Vegas. You call a guy up, it's the same guy who brings it out to me every year. He brings it to wherever I'm staying, hotel or house or whatever. He measures, he leaves, he comes back, it's tailored, it's done.
Oh, really?
And then when I get done, I just take it off and I leave it at the front desk of the hotel, and he comes and picks it up, and it's over. I mean, it's phenomenal.
That is a nice experience.
It's almost fun renting it because of this guy. So
I gotta give it to you. Yeah, that sounds pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, you don't get taken care of very much in life anymore, but this guy does it. So, I'll be doing the Monday Night Reveal, the hosting SEMA Central Stage all week. Once again, hosting the New Products Award Breakfast, which is a fun one because it's presenting awards for all the things that won at the SEMA show, which is pretty exciting. And then hosting again the SEMA Cruise at the end, which was probably the most fun I had at that whole event because it's free form and it's all the cars leaving the show, the cars and trucks and Jeeps. And my buddy Joe Sebregandio and I last year did it.
Right.
And he just says what he's going to say, and it's great. If somebody's hanging up the line or behaving inappropriately, Joe's the first one to point it out. He's a New Yorker. That's all you got to say. Joe's great.
Yeah. Hey, I'm walking here. Come on.
Yeah, basically, yeah. He's a great guy. I've known him for many years. So I'm hoping I get to work with him again because that was a lot of fun. But
cool. Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah. Right. Well, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, that's really cool, and I'm very fortunate, like I said, that they decided to call back and say, "Hey, let's do this again." So, looking forward to that.
Well, the first time was a fluke. After that, it means you're the real deal. So, good on you.
After that, it's just plain ignorance on their part for calling.
No, not at all.
I'm the repeatable. We got to come up with a good phrase for the repeating fluke. I love that. Lightning strikes 3 times on this one.
Boom. Oh boy, that's cool. That's great stuff.
But that will be fun, yeah. All right, well, we've got listeners who have been waiting patiently this whole time.
Yeah.
To hear the answers to our trivia questions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, they have. All right.
Let this out. So you go first. Was I even close?
Okay. Well, I asked you, Kevin, about Hearst lightning rods and what car could you buy that already had them equipped. And your answer was the Hearst Olds. And your bonus answer was, the bonus question was, what year did it first, was it first available? And you said 1983. And you are correct on both counts, Kevin. Ding, 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 ding.
Dynamite. Wow.
Yeah,
That's a double,
nice. You
double
hit
luck right there.
Yeah, you hit the bullseye with that 83. That was impressive. That was cool.
I'm pretty lucky because I wasn't quite sure.
I loved those Hearst lightning rods in those Hearst Olds. I thought those were just the bee's knees, man. They were just so bitchin'.
They are cool. 3 separate sticks, and you can jump on YouTube, and there are commercials for those, believe it or not.
Is that right?
From 83, 84, 85, where they show the guy shifting them in an Oldsmobile commercial. So that's pretty cool.
Huh. That is very cool. Yeah.
All right,
good stuff.
My question to you was, what was Antoine de la Motte Cadillac known for? And of course, English pronunciation, the American pronunciation was Antoine de la Motte Cadillac. Mm-hmm. And your answer was, well, he was the namesake for the Cadillac automobile, which is true. But that's not...
All right! Thanks, everybody! I'm out tonight! I won!
I guess so. But the reason why they named the Cadillac car after him is he was known as the founder of Detroit.
Son of a biscuit.
So because he was a guy who had... I'll just read this. Upon his arrival in America, LaMotte adopted his title after the town of Cadillac in southwestern France, and the city of Detroit became the world center of automobile production in the 20th century. William H. Murphy and Henry M. Leland founded the Cadillac Auto Company and paid homage to him by using his name, because he was a trader and same thing as every guy in history. He was a fur trader and a trapper,
right?
Whatever. But he was a guy who built up a fort, which eventually became the city that we now know as Detroit. So that's why they named the car after him. So there you go. Tried to go a little cultural on the trivia question, and then
that's awesome.
I should have known better.
Well, I went Italian on the overselling adjective, so I guess fair.
Right. Yeah. Well, like last time, you got to leave this continent now because we burned up all the other good ones.
I burned them all up, man. All of them. Gee whiz.
All right. Well, right on. So, I'll give you that one.
Yeah, thanks. All right. I'm so terrible, I'm going to take it. So, there. I have no shame. There's no pride in me anymore, man. Come on.
Well, I bet somebody could go back over the last 50 episodes and tally up the score, because I think you've done better than you thought.
Yeah, I bet I've gotten 5 correct.
Oh, come on. You had to get more than 5.
No, I didn't. I don't think I have.
I think I've got maybe 8 or 9, but...
Oh, stop it. Stop yourself.
Certainly not.
You get 8 or 9 right per episode, so shut it.
Well, I got 2 right this time, and that was damn lucky, I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, all right. Well, this was fun. We minimized our tangents. We stayed on this planet for the most part, so that's all good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good stuff.
Stuck to cars, and I think everybody's better off for it. So this was a fun show. If you like this kind of stuff, you can always subscribe to us on iTunes. We are still holding tight within the top 20, kind of bouncing in the 17, 18 range, but we'll see how that goes. So you can listen wherever you want, but that one is about the only one that ranks them. So that's why we're all wound up on the iTunes.
Right. But listen to iTunes. You can listen wherever you want, but listen to iTunes.
Yeah, there you go. And beyond that, it's Stitcher Radio and Google Play and iTunes,
TuneIn Radio and Spotify.
TuneIn Radio, Spotify, right? That was recently added. That's a good one. Or right at v8radio.com, which is always good. Of course, our Facebook page as well. And next time, we're going to talk about an opportunity where the listeners and and followers can play along with our trivia questions with us. So,
Hey, sounds
little
intriguing.
teaser for that, which should be fun. We're just trying to figure out a good prize to make it worth everybody's while. So,
Cool.
but that'll be cool. Yeah. All right.
dig it,
So appreciate the time, man. It's always fun.
Yes, sir. Always. Very
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
50
beats
episodes.
Yeah. Congratulations on 50 all the way around, and I guess we'll leave with our traditional exit and keep it under 100 or keep the shiny side up. And I'm Kevin Ossie for Mike Clark, and we'll see you next time on V8 Radio.